We good? All right, and welcome to the Drama Actors Roundtable. We're here today with Cuba Gooding Jr., Rami Malek, Wagner Moura, Bobby Cannavale, Forrest Whitaker, Paul Giamatti, and I'm your host, Lacey Rose.
That was horrible.
All right, we'll jump right in. Looking back at the early days of your careers, what were the worst audition stories? Cuba definitely has one, I can tell.
Yeah, everybody has one, but nobody wants to be the first.
Well, you were going to be the first to...
I'll never forget, I had a McDonald's commercial, and they teach you when you go on auditions to slate your name. And my agent, Corley Jr., just passed away recently, my heart and soul, says, you know, when you slate your name, it's the first time that they will see you in a tape of people, hundreds that look just like you on your audition tape. So you always, you know, you show your energy when you slate your name. So me and two other black actors came in, and at the time I didn't know this director, but now I know him and his reputation, Joe Pitka. We walk into this audition, and the three of us hit our marks, and she says, okay, slate your name. And I say, hi, I'm Cuba Gooding Jr. And he goes, what? Seriously? Next. I was like, okay. And I was marked.
Guessing you didn't get that commercial.
Didn't get it. He kicked me out. I didn't even audition. I slated my name. He kicked me out of the room. Fuck him.
So your coach was right.
Yeah.
That name really was important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I had to audition once. I mean, I have done a lot of commercials when I was 17, 16. And one of those was really embarrassing because I was supposed to play the wind.
The wind?
The wind.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of, I mean, obviously I didn't get the commercial. And
in a commercial?
In a commercial. And I didn't know what to do because I was told that I was supposed to be something else. And I was trying to play the wind. And I just didn't know.
How does one play the wind?
The wind. And then he said, the guy said, okay, we want the camera to like you. So look at the camera and do something so we can like you. And it was terrible. I felt like the worst actor in the world because I couldn't play the wind.
You should have broke wind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's hard, yeah.
That is hard.
I don't even know where to begin.
I don't either.
Yeah.
You don't go.
Yeah, that's good.
It's really good.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
Now you get it.
Right. Years to think about it.
Yeah.
Someone's been thinking about it for years.
Perfected the
Why didn't
wind.
we cast him?
Remember I had an audition for, remember that movie Starship Troopers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was like early in my career, and it was just, there was no script. And I remember being like, well, how am I supposed to prepare? And they were like, it's just gonna be improv. And the only, all I had to do was I had to react to a bug, like a big bug, and scream, bug!
Yeah.
And I remember like doing it and they were like, okay, thanks. I could hear the sigh.
Yeah.
And I just remember like not wanting to leave the room.
You didn't
just
scream.
going like, I could do it better.
Yeah.
I could do it better. And I was young and I was like, I just refused to leave the room.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing it over and over again. Bug, bug, bug. And I didn't get it.
That's the one thing I used to do a lot is just stay in the room until it was, you know, you just wore out your welcome.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Like, no, another one, I'll do another one. And they're like, no, I think we've seen enough.
Yeah. You were great.
Yeah, it's time to
Great
go.
enough. And moving on.
Now I'm out of there as quick as possible.
Yeah.
It's like, move on.
What do you guys wish directors sort of better understood about actors? And what do the really good ones get?
Well, it seems like the guys who understand what each person individually needs, like a guy who can talk to each person the way they need to be talked to, seems like the key thing. But that's a real hard thing to be able to do. I don't know. I mean, you know.
I like questions. I like when a director asks questions and like they might be rhetorical questions that he already has the answers to, but he's making you feel like you're coming up with the answer. I find really good directors do that. You know, what would happen if? You know, like it's only when you get home later that you're like, he tricked me.
Yeah.
He knew what he wanted.
They act like
in
like
the moment,
it's you.
it makes
Yeah.
you feel
It's
like
the
you're
game.
collaborating.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, it's that quality of the director to bring out an emotion in you, and you think you're giving it to him, but even if you feel like you failed, he got what he wanted from you. Like Oliver Stone was famous, or she, but Oliver Stone was famous for finding out a person's insecurity and picking on them.
Yeah.
And getting you so like, that when you actually did the work, I don't know, out of insecurity, he found something that he could use. So I think with me, as long as the director knows what he wants, be it through manipulation or direct, do it this way, fine. Because if I give him what he wants, then I know that he's going to use that. And if I have something else that I think might be of interest to him, I only show him that after he gets what he wants. Because a lot of times, if I'm working with a director who doesn't know what he wants, he goes, what do you want to do? And I do it. And he goes, that's great. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah, that's kind
there
of,
could be
it's a
something
weird,
more,
yeah,
you
it's
know?
a weird
When you
feeling.
feel that you can fail, and the director is gonna be there. You know?
Yeah,
That's true, too.
It's okay.
To instill confidence in
Let's
you.
try and let's. Come. It's about.
Yeah, to have that feeling that you
But
can
when he was
completely
talking about
collapse.
the Oliver Stone, that reminds me of an audition story, actually. Because I remember I spent a week auditioning for the same part. I would come every day, I would sit through everybody. I was just reading with everybody. But he never gave me the job. You know, I would sit in the room and they'd bring in different actors and I'd be reading. It was in Platoon. And then I would leave, and as I was walking away, he'd look out the window and he'd scream, do it better, do it better. You know? And I'd be like, okay, tomorrow. You know, but it's like the opposite of like this kind of concept of like instilling like where I think I know for me a director that can let me feel that he's listening and watching and that he's got me covered. And I don't mean camera way. I'm talking about
No, just security, support.
It's that security that's really important for me, because sometimes you go into a vulnerable space and you want to know, and you want to be able to look to somebody sometimes because you get insecure.
Yeah.
And you say, did I do that?
Yeah.
Did I make that? I don't even know if I got that.
Yeah.
You know.
Somebody you can trust.
Sure.
I want to be empowered. I don't love being broken down. You know?
No, I've never worked with a guy who's done that. I don't know how I'd react to that kind of negative, that thing where they're reducing you. I don't know how I'd take to that.
No, that's like some 1970s.
Yeah, it's intense. I mean, who knows? It might be.
Over and over.
Yeah.
All right, the industry often likes to sort of lock people into certain lanes, keep them sort of in a box. There are types of roles that they want you to do. Were there points earlier in your career, what were the types of roles that you sort of kept getting approached for and you sort of tired of? And it sounds like you have an answer to that.
I played a lot of guys sitting in vans with headsets on watching reel-to-reel tape thing. I did a lot of this, like, we lost him. I did that guy countless times. Oh, this guy, get out of there, Mike, get out of there. My God, he can't hear me. I had to do a lot of that guy,
Horace, was there a type of role that you kept getting approached for?
And I guess I play a lot of detectives and different things. I've been kind of lucky. I got a chance to play a lot of different kind of parts, you know. I don't really, even from the beginning.
That's true.
Yeah, it is
so
true.
many different kinds of parts.
That's true.
I remember when I saw you in the Stephen Ray film,
Crying Game.
in Crying Game. I'd already seen you before, but I remember seeing that movie and going, I didn't know he was English. He's English.
Yeah,
He's English.
Cool.
Damn, that was wild. Yeah. So this guy's played everything. Amazing.
Yeah.
What about you guys? I mean, were there things that you sort of kept getting approached for, a box?
I remember after I did a film, Boys in Hood, I got every street hood kid offer. And I chose one, which was Gladiator, which was a boxing movie, still a street kid. But then after that, I told myself, no more street kids, and wound up playing a deaf mute in a Western called Lightning Jack. Only because it was different than anything else.
Wow.
You know, because I didn't want to be the guy, the go-to street kid guy, you know.
In the breakdowns for me, it was always I'd always just look for quirky or weird somewhere, and then I was like, that's what I'm gonna go in for, surely. And I resented it for a while, and then I kind of thought, you know, this is something to be proud of, that you can be that kind of outsider in anything. But at first I was like, here we go again.
Are there doors that you guys feel, even at this point in your careers, where you've had a tremendous amount of success, that are still closed? I mean, types of roles that you can't get?
White guys. Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Like, you know,
I could
it's
never
true
be
though.
one of
I
those.
just never I'm always getting like the ethnic roles of some kind.
Yeah.
Like a mob guy or like a Italian American pizza guy or some shit like that. I never get like doctors and
I never play Italians. I never get.
Really?
I would love to play an Italian. I am Italian. I never get to play Italians. Yeah, I've never been able to get. I've had people tell me I'm not Italian enough. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
right.
very funny. So
We get all the Italian guys.
yeah, you guys get over Italian.
Like, I'd love to be in a Western. Like, I'd love to be in a Western, man. And I'm like...
But I know if I'm in a Western, I'm going to have to play this guy. You know, the guy's like, what do you have? I'm going to have to be that guy. You know? I'm going to have to be the corrupt mayor. The guy's building the railroad through somebody's farm. I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Tycoon.
Yeah, I'm going to be the tycoon with the pocket watch. And
so much fun. I mean, you've done a few westerns.
I've done a few westerns, yeah. But I mean, I like it. I you know,
oh yeah,
rode
it must be
horses
fun.
and stuff. Yeah, no, it's great. Being on horseback is like the most
great.
naturalistic thing you can do.
It's really fun.
So, Cuba, you have obviously been open about the fact that you were sort of in quote-unquote actors' jail. If you what was that sort of period like, and what would you do? What would you do differently if you had to do it all over again?
Well, those are two questions.
Yes, they are.
So I'll answer the second one first.
We have an hour? We have an hour. Well, that's cool. I'm just checking how much time we have.
All right, fine, Paul.
No, please.
Done, motherfucker. I got this now. When I won the Oscar, I was I fell in that mindset that this was a precious role. People are shouting, "Show me the money" everywhere. It's like, you have to find the right role. I think, and it was bred out of that whole thing of Boys in the Hood, of playing the street guys and then not doing that again. So but I was in the opposite frame of mind, that I just didn't want anything that could parody the fact that I was like a tagline in a movie. Well, I might as well just get to it. So when Steven Spielberg offered me Amstead, I said no. When Hotel Rwanda came, I said no. I was like saying no to all of these things because I had in my mind the role I wanted to play. Now ask me what the role I wanted to play was.
What's the role you wanted to play?
I had no fucking idea. So I passed on all of these great directors and wound up offending a bunch of people. And what happened was, like you said, I went off the list of green light if you have this actor in the role. So what I do now is I consider the filmmaker making team. That's why I'm in this series now, because of Ryan Murphy. And I consider the director. I don't care what the role is. And I remember when Ridley Scott called my agent and said, "Here's an offer, I want to play Nicky Barnes." And I go, "I don't have to read it, I'm in." And then my agent goes, "Oh, we'll take a day, we'll read it." And he goes, No. Ridley Scott called, I'm in. Sure. And then this whole actor jail thing, I think it was God's will to go and do direct-to-video trash, because that's basically what I had done. I did a lot of movies. What had happened is producers would come to me and say, "We have the foreign financing in place for anywhere from $5 to $10 million, whatever you want to do." I said, great. I met with writers. I developed the script. I said, here's what I want to do. We'd shoot it. I'd edit it, direct it. I mean, I literally learned more about the filmmaking process in that 10 years that made me a 10 times better actor. But unfortunately, people had to sit through those movies. If they, at the time it was Blockbuster and all these things. You can watch literally me go back to film school. So.
You came out the other side. That's for sure. All right, so Paul, on Billions.
Yes.
The show opens with a dominatrix, who we later learn is your wife.
Oh, that killed that. That just killed that.
You mean now?
But
Yes.
she is urinating on you, which I have since learned is called a golden shower.
Hey!
Yes, it is.
So
I'm glad to have
it's a learning
it was an
experience through
informative
this.
thing for you.
It was, and I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
So you read the script and you say, yes, I'm in? I mean, you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that wasn't the only thing the character does in the thing. That was, it was very interesting because precisely it does end up being my wife. What was interesting about it is they were not going to make it a sort of freakish thing. It was just going to be this guy, this is what he does. And this is what they do as a couple. And so it becomes interesting for the couple, but it's also a great sort of metaphor for the whole show.
Sure.
The whole dominance and submission thing is a big thing in the whole show.
So there's no hesitation when you read moments like that?
Not for me, no. If somebody's going to pee on me in a movie, I will sign on the dotted line.
You look forward to those
No,
moments.
I do. I thought this will be really interesting. I mean, I haven't done anything like it before, and Maggie hadn't done anything like it before. It was a very interesting part of it.
I'm the goddamn U.S. attorney, Wendy.
So, I've been working there since before we were married and long before you were in office.
Look, not that we're there, But we did always discuss that the day might come when there was conflict.
That was before I was making 8 times what you make. And before you started making Chuck Sr. plays like
Leave
this.
him out of it. Okay?
You know, it's not, they're erotic scenes. They're not sort of sex scenes. I mean, I haven't had to do a whole lot of those. Those are harder. This is, you know, it's unusual, you know?
What was more disturbing was the cigarette burn first, and then the urination.
And then the ping.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's mild, I mean, for what those people actually do.
Yes.
I mean, you know, no, it's a really interesting part of the character.
Your research.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was fascinating to find out about all this stuff. It was really interesting.
Did you too learn about what a golden shower was through this?
I knew what a golden shower was already.
All right, all right.
I'm not looking no, just checking in the box. No, I was already
I
familiar.
don't know what a golden shower is. I'm sorry.
When somebody urinates on somebody else.
Somebody pees on
It's just, yeah, somebody pees on you.
you act like you did.
Yeah, I know. Come on.
No. What are the things that you guys have that you read in a script and you say, you know what, not going to do that? I mean, are there the things that make you sort of too uncomfortable that you don't want to do, or whether it's a type of role or a
Scenes with
thing?
kids suffering.
Yeah.
I can't. Except kids suffering.
Yeah.
I can't. I
won't do
just
that.
can't
Yeah.
do those things.
I've been offered a lot of some real psychopathic parts and that are doing things that I'm like, it doesn't seem necessary. I mean, like I say, this isn't psychopathic.
No,
It's
not at all.
But this is very much a part of the whole show.
Sure,
I've been
sure.
offered things that are really just brutally violent and stuff that, no, I'm not really. I don't care to do it unless there's some real reason for it.
Sure.
A rape, I think, is like, unless it's really purposeful, and obviously if it's in a movie, you know, that you appreciate, or working with a director that you appreciate, it's probably necessary, but that's a difficult thing to be in a situation to have to do with someone, I think. But most of the time with us, it's the scary stuff that kind of draws us to the role, right? The things
I was gonna say,
we're most offended by.
I'll do anything.
Yeah.
I'll do absolutely anything. And it wasn't always that way, because I met with, can't remember the director's name, of 6 Degrees of Separation. We sat and he said, I want to know that you committed to doing this role. You know, there's this scene where he kisses a man, and I said, listen, when I get in a character, I go all the way in, and I'm not comfortable with it, I'll be honest with you. And now I see how childish it was to think that way. But, you know, a young black actor in L.A. who represented the manliness of that time period, I just felt, I'm going to alienate people.
Yeah.
You know, but then you grow and mature and you realize how immature it was to even think that. And rapes and abuse to children and all of these things I wouldn't want to do, but I come from the Lee Daniels School of Filmmaking, as you know. He'll find out something you don't want to do, cast you, and make you do it. You know, and that's his thing. And after you do it, you go, but then he finds the grace in it. So
let me ask you a question. Like for myself, if I'm the character has it's a really dark character, I do sometimes consider if I want to live in that space for that length of time.
I think that's actually more of what it is with some of these things I've been offered. I'm like, I don't think I want to play that serial killer.
And hence, I hate to say it, we're all saying the same thing. I truly believe that. You don't like that. You don't like those things, but yet
you do them. I know.
It took me a month and a half to shake O.J. Simpson from my psyche. It really did, because it was the darkest role that I had ever done. And yet I still am proud of what I did, even though I still feel the residual in my psyche.
Oh, see, now that pisses me off. They got the juice in handcuffs. I was handcuffed for 5 seconds. They ain't got no other footage of me.
This situation is very worrisome.
What's the lawyer say? I don't know. I don't even know where the hell Howard is. Hey, where's Howard, AC?
I couldn't find him.
Find him, man. Come on.
We've
man.
tried.
I'm
OJ, you need your counsel.
Robert, are you a lawyer?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I used to be, but not criminal.
Do you think a little part of it stays with you? I mean, from every character you play?
Absolutely. And I'll go one further. If you look at the roles that really affected my life, from Boys in the Hood, Jerry Maguire, and now we'll say the O.J. Simpson thing, when I was doing Boys in the Hood, I was in the streets in South Central. I was a break dancer. I've been thrown on the floor by police. I've had guns stuck in my face. When I did Jerry Maguire, I hadn't done anything of note since then, so I was like worried about losing my house, and then I got the big contract, which was that movie, and then it set me apart. And then I went through a personal thing with my wife during the filming of this. And I'll tell a story real quick. I know I'm talking a lot, but
You're good, man.
I was on Friday after we wrapped filming, I got 2 tickets to see the Blackhawks in Chicago. A Saturday, I went to my daughter's dance recital. She's 10. My wife and I, she didn't have a ticket for me. I got upset, so I said, don't think about her. Just focus on Piper. It's Piper's day. And then I watched, and then that night got on a plane to Chicago, and it hit me. The Saturday before the murders, OJ went to his daughter's dance recital and went off. He was fucking furious that she didn't have a seat for him. And then that night the murders happens, he flew to Chicago. Now, he went for a golf thing.
Interesting.
I went to see the, and it was just, and I'm
Do you think patterns like that flow you? Because we live in patterns in a way. I mean, there are archetypes that we fall into, and there's energies that we like
For sure, yeah.
move inside
Absolutely.
of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I believe that.
That's why I think we have the right not to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
And you have to be
if
careful,
we commit to
yeah.
do it,
Yeah,
we're
you gotta
gonna
be
go
careful.
deep
Yeah.
in that.
And then
So
the
sometimes I
Heath
just say,
Ledger-
You gotta be
it's a
careful.
nice part, it's cool, but I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to take myself
Yeah, I've
there.
felt that a few times.
Didn't he say that after, right
he?
before he passed away? He said it was the darkest role I ever done.
Yeah. He seemed like, we all have to go to very dark place.
Your character isn't exactly
I did.
light and airy role.
No, I went, before that, I got the lovely break of doing the Pacific, which I talk about quite a bit because it was such an indelible moment for me. But got to go to do the boot camp that everybody's doing these days when they go to war. Did you ever do that for when
For
you
Platoon,
went?
we were like the beginning of all that.
Yeah.
I mean, they put us in the middle of the jungle.
I think we had the same guy. Was it Dale Dye that did that?
Dale Dye started it.
I went through a boot camp with Dale.
Yeah.
I did too.
Outbreak.
Yeah, interesting.
But it gets you into that.
Yeah, so you do that, and then I remember, just we were in Australia for so long, and I was new, and I couldn't really step out of it. I kept all that going on in my head, and there are days I'm picking out gold teeth from these prosthetic bodies, but they were done so well, it felt so real, and after doing it like 7, 8 takes, and I'm just like, I gotta stop. I'm not supposed to be crying in this scene because he's like a hardened guy, but I found myself tearing and taking that home every day and just kind of being method. When going into this, I was like, I can't do that anymore because it physically and psychologically really had a kind of a negative impact on me.
Sure. Have you been able to separate on this?
Yeah, on this, I show up to work and I think you get all the work done ahead of time so I can enjoy myself there and have regular conversations. I mean, not everybody's like that, but I know that I need that to get through the day now.
I'm not saying anything new. We all know why we do this, not because Hunger Games books makes us happy, but because we want to be sedated. Because it's painful not to pretend, because we're cowards.
I think since the day we wrapped the first season, I've been thinking about the second season and feeling like there was an immense amount of pressure. It really had a cultural impact on so many people on so many levels. And, you want to be able to retain that or improve upon it. There's something scary about coming out of the gate so strong. The only way to alleviate myself of that pressure is just to keep working, keep discovering, keep researching, and go to that place, every chance I could. And I feel like if you step on set that next season and you have all that, then no matter what happens, you can't get mad at yourself. It'll hopefully be no fault of your own.
Right.
But I think we have a great group of people that it feels like everybody came back with that mindset that said, not only can we do as good a job, we can do better. And it's feeling pretty good.
So far, so good.
So some of it's alleviated.
Just because you figured it out, because even recently I was asked to do a film with early onset dementia. And the few times that I've played somebody who has schizophrenia or bipolar issues, it's really affected me. And I just couldn't, I literally said, I can't do this film for you. Even though the role is interesting and it'll be good, but I'm just a little nervous. I haven't figured out all the blocks of how to put myself there, because I'm really susceptible to myself, to things, So if I just tell myself I'm not remembering, and I start not remembering for a month, then I don't know what it will do to the neurology of my own system. So I get nervous. And so I think it's something I've been trying to figure out. I was trying to figure it out with the play. I was trying to figure how you can just be just there, and then like shift briefs, you know,
And not
get
damage
another
yourself.
file. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know, something.
Yeah, theater was hard in that way. I mean, I felt like I did damage to myself sometimes, you know, physically and psychologically. It got really hard to do.
I just have to make sure that I have like space to be alone.
Yeah.
Like, and so I kind of inadvertently push people away, I think. And I think I send out a signal that tells people I need space. I can't come home from work from an 18-hour day or whatever it is and be bothered. So I just have to have like space to be able to. That's why I like working in New York so much. You know, I can just go out and I can walk, walk around, and it's absolutely necessary. I couldn't just come home and
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. That's hard.
I mean, Wagner, you're definitely.
That's really hard.
And how? I mean, what do you worry about the sort of repercussions of playing a character like Pablo Escobar?
Yeah, there's this, and there is also this personal, because I mean, it's not that you bring the character to your house or anything like that, but we actors, painters, they paint their thing. It's outside their bodies. Musicians, they do it. It's outside. Our thing is here. So our bodies, they have a memory of what you're doing. So
the body doesn't know you're acting.
Exactly. I love this. I mean, the body doesn't know you're acting.
That's
This is perfect.
tears.
You do a strong scene, an emotional scene, and then you're gonna have a coffee, and your hands like
A residue if it stays in there.
because
Stays in there.
you give information to your body, and the body doesn't know it's a lie.
No.
So you keep that thing in your. So you
And
have
psychologically.
to, you have to take care to it's not nice.
Un día yo voy a ser presidente de la República de Colombia. Y bien, me gano la vida haciendo negocios, así que pues fresco, tranquilo. Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
Narcos is a very different experience because we all moved to Bogota, to Colombia. We shoot in locations. We didn't really know exactly what we were doing in the first season, actually, I think. You know, and now I think that production-wise and scripts-wise and character-wise, we are all more prepared to do what we were supposed to do, now that we have seen the first season. And but for me personally, it felt like we all know what's going to happen with Pablo Escobar.
Yes.
It's like it's a character that it's like I felt like when I finished the first season that I had to finish it. It felt like a film that I shot like till the middle of the film, and I have to go to the end of it. It's like accomplishing a mission. It's been a big part of my life.
Yeah.
It was the craziest thing I have ever done. I mean, I didn't speak Spanish. I wasn't the obvious choice to play this character.
Portuguese.
Is that right?
Portuguese. We speak Portuguese.
Brazilian.
I'm Brazilian. Yeah.
What a trip, right?
So I had to learn a language in order to play a character. Craziest thing.
That's cool. That's wild.
I went and moved to Colombia, and I said right before everyone, and just stay there. So it's been a very deep experience in my life. So in the first season, I didn't want my family to be there, so I had to be there alone. So it was also really tough and difficult, as it was difficult for Pablo to be away from his family all the time. Now I feel more comfortable, so I brought them there. My kids are there learning Spanish and going to school. And it's like,
how about that Coke?
from Columbus.
I'll tell you what, a bunch of
I'm curious, with vinyl, is there something sort of liberating to playing a character who's that big and sort of that extreme, or is it scary to have a character who has sort of so few limitations, if you will?
Well, for me, it's very freeing. It's very nice. I've never gotten to play a role that's this dimensional, really. That's this big a role. I mean, for lack of putting it easier way. I mean, so it's a pretty big role. I've never been the lead in anything before, and that's kind of what the role calls for. You know, I really can do anything in this part, and I was set up that way by Terry Winter and Martin Scorsese, and they told me from the beginning, like, this guy is out of his mind. So just go and run with it, and you can play everything in this role.
You're all hearing this the same way?
Yeah. No. Of course.
3 bars. 3 bars, I can tell they'll be filling football stadiums.
Come on, Richie.
Where are we with the good rats?
And what do you draw from to get to that sort of extreme place?
I think just experience. I just, you know, I feel like maybe 20 years ago I wouldn't have been ready to do this part, and I just feel like I've played a lot of different roles in the years leading up to this, and I think those roles really sort of prepared me for it. You know, I've gotten to play leads on stage before.
Sure.
And in the last, let's say, 10 years, I've gotten to play bigger roles and more interesting supporting roles. And I think they've all kind of led me to this character in a way. You know, I feel like I've gotten to play elements of this character in other parts, and I really get to put it all together now and really have fun with it. You know.
Sure. And Forrest, with you, with Roots, what was it about it that you wanted to say, okay, it's time to revisit this again?
I mean, I think it's like a few things. I mean, it's more inside of, I think, Kunta Kinte's character and his mind. It starts to show you their history and their back history in a way that I hadn't understood before. I didn't even understand his religion. I didn't know he was a Muslim. You know what I mean? So he chooses to compromise and give away parts of himself to function, to have a good life. And then has to confront, like, his own identity. He loses his identity, and at the end of at least my character's life, he regains his identity. And I think this issue of identity is something that I've been playing with in a lot of different things I'm trying to understand, you know, about being the core of, like, the essence, you know. So I decided to give him a shot. A lot of challenges, you know, with the violin itself and with other instruments, because I decided to add on other instruments, you know, like to express, like, this transition from the past, the contingo, which is the African guitar, to the violin. The piece itself, I think, is important for the legacy of what it is. You know, the youth today haven't seen this. I think it's very important for them to look at this and remember this as a source of identity and move on to the next phase of the progression of where we're moving to.
Kunta Kinte.
No, listen to me. The master's wife done named you Toby.
Kunta Kinte.
Your name is Toby now.
Kinte. Dinka Paluti.
I ain't got time to chinwag with a
Balomi
gay.
Masakunda.
Toby.
Gambi Balongo.
Toby, you're gonna be Toby now, and you're gonna be Toby forever. And I don't care nothing about your African ways.
And do you remember the impact that it had on you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I watched it, like, with my family. I mean, it was everybody watched it.
Truly, literally everybody watched it.
So I would sit with my whole family, though, and like, sit in front of the TV and watch it. And then we'd all talk about it at school the next day or something like that. It's things that you've never seen before.
In what ways do you hope it sort of changes the dialogue, whether it's in Hollywood or beyond, with a project like this?
I think it just frames, like, the situation so you can understand this sort of the African Holocaust in a way, what happened in the passage and how we progressed and where we've moved to today. The piece allows us to historically move from era to era and see the progression of our culture and how we become either more tolerant or less tolerant, or question if we've moved past those same issues. You can't watch it without being confronted with the issue of civil rights, the issue of human rights. It's not possible to watch someone be beat to death and then him having to be forced into a new identity by having to say a new name for himself, having to take on a new life, being powerless, you know. I think those are all, like, things that we have to explore, you know, because this is going on everywhere, from refugees, from issues of slavery in this country and other countries, all kinds of things that are touchable, that are relatable, that are happening right now, that we need to, like, try to understand still in this dialogue, you know?
Sure, I think, absolutely. What are the sort of the upsides and the downsides of inhabiting a real character? Is it something that excites you or terrifies you?
I love it.
You do?
I always love it. I mean, I played a few. Ben Carson and, you know, Master Chief Carl Bashir and now OJ. And I think it's because we as actors try to find an emotional truth to the character in whatever situation you put him in, right? So you do your research and you try to get his mannerisms down. You try to get the, the hair to look as much like that character. But when you connect with that character, truthfully, the audience will forget what he looks like. I've said some stuff about your show. I absolutely adored it. I really did. But if I gave it one critique, and I've said this in press, is when they go to the real Pablo Escobar, I feel like they betray you every time. I finally got that image out, and I'm into you, and then they jump back to the real guy. And I think
that's interesting. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where the audience will go on the truth of your journey. It's just like take after take. Marlon Brando says that he watched On the Waterfront, and he said, in and out, in and out. And they were like, what does that mean? He's like, I was in and out, truthfully, and it could have been just because of the different takes that they use. But it really is that when we see our work, we look for the truth when we're really like caught up in it, So.
Yeah, I'm curious about it. How did you try to imitate him or to talk like him or to
as much as I could. Ryan and I had this agreement early on. I said, I look like him as much as I can, but I will be the actor that will give you a truth for whatever you want. So you tell me, we had a shorthand where he'd say, do this take where he's guilty. Do this take now where he's frustrated because his son did it. Like, he literally talked me through. So I had to put myself in that mindset. And that was the truth that I felt was my job. And it's like, we had a videographer on the set every day, and especially when we were doing the courtroom stuff. So we would watch what we were about to shoot real time.
Really?
And there were certain things.
What a trip.
Like, the biggest example,
that's a while
would be the not guilty verdict. When he did it, I have to tell a story. So I don't know if anybody's seen the show, but my character goes through an emotional roller coaster, right? So in that verdict, he was so fucking drugged up and doped up that they said not guilty. Well, you saw how he did it when he did it. So I tried to mimic his reaction to a T. And I'm, between takes, you're walking around the set just trying to stay away from it. And I went by one of the actor jurors and she goes, you ain't even gonna cry or nothing. Like, she critiqued the fact that I wasn't crying. She goes, Cuba, you know you gotta work. You better even cry. And I was like, let me do me and you fucking do you. You be a juror. But it was because I was trying to mimic that moment. If it was Cuba Gooding Jr. found out again, I'd be like, I'm afraid, thank God. But it wasn't. It was just a minute. So yes, she want to look like it, but it's more about the.
That's complicated.
I mean, you've played real characters before. I mean, is it to you? Is there pressure that comes with that, or is it actually like it allows you to find a connect to that character?
Yeah, sure. It can be really freeing. I mean, I've played some historical characters.
John Adams,
that are long dead, so we have no idea what they really sounded like and stuff. So, you have a certain amount of it's kind of really circumscribed, but then a lot of it, you have a lot of freedom. And in some ways, that kind of confinement of like, I got to look like this and talk like this frees you up in a funny way, too. So it's interesting. But I also love the idea of inhabiting a real person, a historical character. It's an exciting kind of story to step into and stuff like that. So I just love doing stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I love
David McCullough knows what he probably looks and sounds like.
Yeah, it was really fun to invent all of that. Like, what did these people sound like? We had to make all that up. We made up accents and stuff. I mean, it was really fascinating. So that kind of research stuff is really fun.
Yeah, and then
but then there's too much of it. You know what I mean? And then it's like at a certain point you have to stop because you can't just play the guy. You have to then create and pretend and make it up, too.
Sure. Rami, obviously this role for you has been wildly sort of impactful and I imagine sort of game-changing. I'm curious, as the offers are probably coming, when you look around and think about...
I gotta go, guys. I have a meeting.
We wrap this up.
What time is it?
But I'm curious, sort of, when you think about careers you want to emulate and decisions you want to make about what to do next, and how are you thinking about what to say yes and what to say no to?
It's such a good question, and I don't know if any actor ever figures out, like, what exactly they want. But yeah, now doors have definitely been opened and gotten to read scripts and meet with directors. I never would have had the opportunity to a year ago. And I've wanted to just work on really great content, great material with capable, inspiring, artistic directors. And if something moved me or scared me, then I was drawn to it. I don't need to work all the time. I would much rather wait on something really special that speaks to me. And I think I do look for things I can shine in. But ultimately, now that I work on this show that has really provoked people in such a way that I want to do that more. I want to have it be so socially conscious, the way, something like Roots is. Something that has an impact, not just as a piece of entertainment, but, affects us on a social level and
I mean, your show does that.
Yeah, it empowers people, and I mean, that's my favorite thing about it. Sorry to cut.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely does. I mean, it deals with the culture in a deep way, and the movement of the culture, like as we're growing and expanding and understanding privacy and all kinds of issues.
No, it gets to some really intense, crazy stuff. Going on
Sure
now.
does.
Yeah, very.
So if we had your agents sitting around this table and I asked them about how you react when they present you with projects, what would they say?
I think my agent would say they'd never know how I'm going to react, because I never know how I'm going to react. Part of what I enjoy about this is not knowing what's going to happen to me next, and what I'm going to get next, or what's going to suddenly be interesting to me.
What are projects that have come your way that you're not sort of thinking that this would be something they'd want you for, and then you've been delighted and done it?
Oh, geez, I don't know. So many things. I don't know. I did a movie called The Illusionist, which is a small, little movie. And I remember getting that and thinking, nobody's ever wanted me to play a German police detective before.
This isn't a little movie.
It's a wonderful movie. I mean, it's a lovely movie. It's a lovely movie. No, well, thank you. But I remember thinking, like, wow, nobody's ever want me, and I loved doing that thing, because I had no idea I'm going to be running around with a hat and a pipe and like a cape and shit and jumping on a train and stuff. I was like, this is fantastic. I just didn't ever see that coming, and it's so that's wonderful. That's a big part of it to me, is this enjoyment of, I have no idea really what's going to happen to me, because I'm lucky to exist in a place where I don't know. If that answers your question, they wouldn't know. They'll always be surprised. And sometimes I'll be like, why the fuck do you want to do that? I'll be like, because I want to do a thing where I have a bird and I play with a bird and stuff.
Yeah, it's true. My agents are always afraid to bring me things that are like a detective or a mob guy.
Yeah.
Because they know I'm going to be like, we're making pizza.
Really? You do a lot of pizza
making? A couple
making?
of pizza guys, yeah. I've actually got a pizza mob guy. Like a mob guy who liked making pizza. He was like on the run in witness protection. I was like,
sure.
And they were like, but he's in witness protection. He's in Arizona. And I'm like, yeah, I can go to Arizona. It's not that fucking crazy. But
I think everybody at this table has gone through that transition. When I started in this business, I was conditioned for failure and no, and to hear no. So you go to a billion auditions and then you get one. And you're like, oh shit, I got a job, And so you just are conditioned to be insecure and this isn't gonna work. Then the transition that I spoke of is now your agent calls you and say, now you have to choose from a plethora of things. And you're like, so I have to say no to myself on those things. Right. And when you do that, you're saying no maybe to something you should be doing or you shouldn't be doing. So that's why I let go of the scripts and what are the filmmakers I want to work with? Because let them tell me what I should be doing, because when I started at this business, I was just trying to win any role it is,
Right.
So.
And it shifts sort of quickly, Are there projects of yours that sort of virtually nobody has seen and The Illusionist does not count?
Told you I went through that 8 years ago.
I was going to say, there's probably there's a lot that nobody has seen that I've done.
And what is it about that specific project that made it so special to you? And then flip side of that is, why didn't it connect with a broader audience? Is there
a little
one?
movie called Fast Food Nation that I'm really proud of, that Rick Linklater made.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite filmmakers. Cool. And I had just coincidentally read that book a couple years earlier, and I'd given up on, I haven't touched fast food since I read that book. It just changed my life, that book. And then I was doing a play in New York called Hurly Burly, and I was playing kind of a nasty guy, another coke guy, and he was like crazy, and I had never played that kind of role before. I'd played like nice guys before. I had done like Third Watch and Station Agent, and that was it. And Rick and Ethan Hawke was in that play, and Rick and Ethan are good friends, and Rick came to see that play and he didn't know me, and he was like, wow, you're really nasty. You want to play this nasty guy in this movie. And that was the first opportunity I ever got to play a nasty guy. Until that point, I'd only been getting these nice guy roles, and they were kind of bland and, you know, like Paul says, it's the surprises, really. Like, you just have to be open to anything, because I was typecast for 2 years playing a nice guy, and then I was typecast because I was playing, like, the guy that was really straight, but he ends up being gay at the end. So I did, like, 4 of those guys, and then I was a mob guy for, like, 3 or 4 roles. So you just never know. But for a minute there, I thought I was just going to be a nice guy, and then Rick gave me this opportunity, and that kind of led to another certain kind of personality. But I was really grateful for that, because I got to work with Linkletter, and nobody saw that movie for whatever reason, and I'm still really proud of that film.
Forrest, is there one that comes to mind for you? Whether it was way back in time or more recently?
I did a few. I mean, I did a film called My Own Love Song with Renee Zellweger, which was with this filmmaker, Olivier Dahan, who directed La Vie en Rose. It was a really unique, from an auteur's point of view, perspective. I mean, the way he saw the universe and the world. And I really thought the movie was really special. And but it didn't even get released here.
Yeah, never heard of it.
I think, Dick. No, I don't mind. This is what we're talking about.
Just say that.
Jeez, man. I'm proud of the movie.
Don't you know you fucking talk?
This guy's never coming back to this table.
How about Ghost Dog?
But that was
such a great.
That's one that's not. That didn't fall through the cracks.
No. It has like a strong cult following. But yeah, it was like we're working with some great, auteur directors that their sensibilities were maybe not right for the distribution system in the U.S. I love the movies. I loved. There's something called. This thing I did with this director called Balthazar Kormákur, who I thought he was a really interesting director from Iceland. There's a number of films, that I thought throughout a year. My career is old, so I mean, I've been doing it for like 30-something years, so there's been films,
I have to say, I want to do more of those films. Like, it never bothers me who sees them. I just want to work with interesting filmmakers. That you got to work with all those filmmakers. I want to do that. I want to work with some obscure Norwegian filmmaker who, nobody sees the movie. I don't care.
No, I agree. I don't feel, she was saying it didn't come out. I mean, I feel good about the films and the movie exists in the world,
And you learn inevitably from each one, whether they see it or, I feel one thing I wanted to add is like all the auditions. I almost wish that sometimes people would be like, hey, I saw you audition for that. Even though you didn't get it, those are some, I think we've left some good performances that for one reason or another.
Is there one that got away from you?
Do you think there should be an awards show?
The audience, absolutely. That's the audience.
My best takes are off camera.
Absolutely.
Doing his coverage, right, Bobby? I'm here for you.
Ronnie, is there one that you felt like I nailed this? I'm definitely going to get this. And then
I never feel like I'm going to get it, but I'm like, I got a good shot at that one, I think. And then they're like, no, you weren't even close.
I got 2 roles as an audition reader.
Really?
I was an audition reader when I was like much younger, and I got a movie and a play from being the reader.
That's awesome.
I remember when I was first auditioning, like the readers were always terrible, and I remember being like, "Fuck, man, I want to try to be a reader," and like that, and I did. I got a job being a reader, and like I supplemented like my income, like working in a bar and being an audition reader, and I got 2 jobs.
I would often think that I'll do stuff with great readers, and I'll be like, "Why don't you just put that broad in the part? I'm like, she's great." I always think that about my stand-in. When I see a stand-in, I see him on the monitor. I'm like, that guy looks great in the part. He looks fantastic. Look at that guy.
All right, so we are going to go to a lighter point. When you were coming up and you get the first big role, what was the first sort of big splurge? Or whether that was you bought something for yourself, you did something for yourself?
No, not really. I mean, I've been working in Brazil since I was 15, 16 years old. And I was thinking about the characters, question about the characters I would like to play. It's exactly, I mean, I was a poor kid, and I started working, and I don't need money. I mean, I don't need money to I mean, as soon as I have money to feed my kids, I'm okay. So I was thinking here that what I'm looking for is experiences. You know, to have experiences that bring something to my life. This Narcos thing, this has been such a game change in my terms, not in terms of career, and I don't even like to think about my career because it's my life. Sure. You know, it's not my career. It's my the fact that I'm Brazilian, and then we are so isolated in Brazil because we speak Portuguese. And then I was, you know, feeling for the first time that I was South American. You know, working with Mexican actors and Chilean, Argentinians, Colombian people. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. I think to bring something to, you know, to make me feel like
People easily, like you're trying to do, they say, well, we all have bought a car, we've got nicer houses, we fly first class, whatever. So you go, oh, that's when it happened for you. But there's also a currency in working with like an icon of some kind, and him telling you a story of an iconic director here, and you hear a story you know no one else other than the person he's working with has heard this story. Those blow me away. Those always make me go, oh, this is the pay right here. You know?
For me, it's always when somebody knows my name. The first time I ever met Woody Allen, that's when it blew me away, and he knew who I was. He'd seen me in a play, and he knew my work.
In a play.
Yeah, and I was like, wow,
it's cool. Right?
Cool. Yeah.
All right, so if a gun was to your head and you couldn't be an actor anymore, what would you guys do?
Own a bar. I'd own a bar. Yeah.
I'd be in Bob's bar.
I think we all.
You could find me at Bobby's.
Bobby's. That's perfect.
I'd be in Bobby's bar a lot.
I love it. What about you guys? What would you do?
Something creative. It would still be. I hope it would be something associated with film, TV, or stage in some way. Writing, directing, craft service.
But if you couldn't,
but if I couldn't do
they said you couldn't be in anything artistic.
Anything artistic?
Is that what you're saying? Nothing artistic either?
Just, you know, to pay my bills. It'd be something physical construction or something.
Anything artistic would be hard. Would be hard.
Yeah, it'd be hard because you feel like, oh, I'm just...
Why am I doing this?
You've got no other skills here? Come on, everybody.
I have no other viable skills. I really don't.
I think construction, too, for some reason. I'm always drawn. I guess building something. You know, there's something about that.
I've always been athletic my whole life, boxing and ice hockey and other sports. So maybe an athletic thing. Pro athletes, it's so scary because your career ends, boom, and then you're done.
I know, and you're 35.
Yeah, and you're young, and you're like, okay, what do I do now?
Hopefully you're 35.
What do you got for us?
And not to put it down, I would probably be working with the UN or with some NGO somewhere in the field. I do that now.
I want to change my answer.
I'm just kidding. I wouldn't actually just be a drunk. I would, No, I would be, absolutely. Absolutely.
We'd all be working for Forrest.
I'd work for Forrest.
But I'd be drunk. I can't work for Forrest.
Forrest around to Uganda. That's what we're all going to do.
I love it. And then the last one, the thing that people would be surprised to know about you.
Wow.
Can't think. I mean, I can...
Well, is there enough already that you know about it?
No, in fact, there's not. I can tell you, I mean, as a child, I was a competitive figure skater, and I traveled around the world competing. So that's mine.
Oh. But that's not surprising.
That's
great. Why would that be surprising?
I know.
Why would that be surprising?
Go, somebody else, go.
I club baby seals on the weekend.
Jesus. I've been doing jiu-jitsu since I was...
You stayed with the Gracies? Or?
Gracie, jiu-jitsu, yeah.
Oh, cool.
The Brazilian things. And I don't think it's such a surprise.
How long?
Since I was 23, 4.
It's a hell of a workout.
There's so many Gracies, right? There's a lot of them.
Yeah, they're all around. Yeah.
You do that too?
Yeah, I have done. I did it for martial arts.
Judo when I was a kid. Yeah, I loved it.
That's great.
But I mean, you're talking about years. How long you been?
I'm 39 now.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Almost 20.
Not a black belt yet.
You're blue?
No, I'm purple. Just black.
Oh.
Guys that are black belt now that used to train with me, they're always traveling. And so,
but you know, it's hard in that style to get a black belt. It takes a long, long time.
It is hard. I mean, if you're there all the time, you get a black belt.
What about the rest of you? Forrest, you obviously musical talents. There's definitely, wouldn't know about you.
I have a band for 25 years. This is something else. So I've been playing with this guy. This is, if the artistic thing wasn't out of the last question, I would say I would play with my band. I've been playing with this guy for 26, 25, 26
What kind of music?
It's a kitsch Brazilian music with British rock. So it's a weird thing, yeah.
He's got his music executive hat on.
Oh, YouTube.
What about you guys? I assume clubbing baby seals was not a sincere answer.
Dead serious. No, it is to hold that motherfucker, hit him in the head. You gotta get it wrapped around your legs.
Got it. Rami, you got one?
I like to cook, and I would say my specialty is just making something out of whatever's left in the fridge.
Nobody cares.
Okay, that's a bad one. A newfound friendship.
Yes, yes.
We're gonna go
Philosophy here, I love it. Do you have a hidden talent?
What do you got?
I'm a woman.
Paul and I were in a serious relationship.
Bobby and I.
Now, wait a minute. If you were, I'd look like an asshole for laughing. Are you really? Because I think that's beautiful.
I wish. I don't know. I can't think of anything particularly interesting. I had to take the violin when I was a kid. I hated it, though. So, no, I don't have any particularly hidden talents. They're all right out there for the world to see.
I love it. Well, on that note, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more videos from The Hollywood Reporter.
This guy, get out of there, Mike. Mike, get out of there, Mike.
How about that Coke?